All right, guys, here are some more exponent rules. The first thing we're going to talk about is the negative exponent property. And basically, when we're simplifying, there cannot be any negative exponents in the final answer. To make negative exponents positive, so if they're in the numerator like they are here, we are going to move them to the denominator, or we're going to go ahead and here and say opposite part of the fraction. So most of the time here on this page, we will be talking about moving them to the denominator, but on the next page, you're going to see that we might be moving them from the denominator to the numerator. So first on this one, let's talk about what the exponent is on that -5, and it is a 1. So that is a positive exponent. So I'm going to go ahead and I see a negative exponent here on the x, so I know I'm going to need a fraction. This is already really a fraction. You can write that whole thing over 1, but we typically don't have to do that. So this -5 has a positive exponent, so it stays right where it is. The x has a negative exponent, so it has to go down to the denominator. And that's it for that one. So a negative exponent causes a reciprocal, so we basically flipped that fraction to make that x to the 6th happen in the denominator. Okay, so again on this one, remember that the 11 has a positive exponent, and then you can see the x has a -2 for the exponent and y to the 0. Well, what is y to the 0? It is 1. So basically we can ignore that. Since I see negative exponents, I know I'm going to need a fraction. My 11 has a positive exponent, so it stays in the numerator. My x goes to the denominator and is now positive. So what I like to say is that a negative exponent, if you're upstairs in your house, like this whole fraction is in the numerator, and you have a negative attitude, your mom's going to be like, get downstairs, get away from me until you get a better attitude. So I talk about exponents as being an attitude. And if your attitude is negative, your mom, dad, grandma, whoever is going to send you to a different part of the house. So 16, or I mean not 16, but on this one, try to do this one on your own. And remember that that -16 has an exponent of 1. So move things around on that one where they need to go. Bad attitudes, going to go down to the basement. All right, let's do this one together. So again, remember that this 2 has a positive exponent of 1. This 4 has an exponent of 1. This x has an exponent of 1. So since I see negative exponents, the first thing I like to do is just get everybody into the right place in the fraction. So this 2 has a positive exponent. It gets to stay upstairs. This x has a negative exponent. Get down to the basement. Get yourself a better attitude. This 4, ignore that phone, has a positive attitude. It's going to stay upstairs. And then this x has a positive, staying upstairs. That's got its 1. And then this x also has a positive. It's staying upstairs. Okay, so now we can start kind of combining our like terms. We've got a 2 times a 4 here, which is an 8. And then x to the 1 and 1/3. We can rewrite this 1 as 3 over 3. Remember, we need common denominators in order to add fractions. So that's going to be an x to the 3/3 plus 1/3 is 4/3. And then on the bottom, we've got x to the 5 over 2. Now, this one can keep going. We have x's on top and x's on bottom. You've learned before that you need to subtract. So we need to do 4/3 minus 5/2. 4/3 minus 5/2. So we need common denominators when you are subtracting. So let's rewrite this one as 8 over 6. I just multiplied both by 2. And same thing, we're going to multiply on this one both by 3. So multiply the 2 by 3 to get the 6. So then you have to multiply the top. And this is good old fraction review. We are wind up with -7 over 6. So that means that that is going to be in the denominator. So our final answer, there are x's left in the bottom, 7 over 6. Okay, that was a crazy one with fractions, but we got this. We're smart algebra people. All right, moving on to this next one. So basically parentheses just mean multiply. So all of this is multiplied together. So even if these parentheses weren't there, we're doing the same thing. So again, I'm going to start, I see negative exponents. I'm going to give myself a fraction. This x to the third, cool, positive attitude, staying upstairs. Y squared, positive, staying upstairs. This z, nope, get down to the basement, get yourself a positive attitude. There it is. This x, again, has an exponent of 1, so that's upstairs. This y, get downstairs, and that z gets to stay up top. Okay, so first, I like to rewrite everything with positive exponents and then start simplifying. I'll show you a different method here in a second. So then go back through and look, I've got x to the third here, and this x to the 1 together. That makes x to the fourth. And then a y squared and a z squared. Those are separate. So y squared, z squared. On the bottom, we have a y to the 6th and a z to the 3rd. And I just wrote those in the opposite order so that they were kind of lined up like above. Then x is the only x on top, so that stays there. And then kind of ask yourself, where are there more y's? If you subtract, 2 minus 6 is -4, so that would indicate a denominator. Or you can kind of think about this being 2 y's, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 y's. If you canceled 2 y's from here, going to cancel 2 y's up there, you have y to the 4th on the bottom. I think it's easier to just think, where are there more y's in the denominator? How many more y's? 4. Where are there more z's? Denominator. How many more? 1. So that's one way. And then I'm going to switch to a different color here and talk about another way that you could have done this from the beginning. Okay, so this is a separate way of working this. You could have multiplied that x by that x, and then 3 and 1 makes x to the 4th. When you're multiplying same base, you add the exponents. Y squared times y to the -6, again, adding exponents, you would get -4. Z to the -3 times z squared would be z to the -6. And then put that y downstairs, put that z downstairs, and you can see we got the same answer. So this red way was actually less work on this one, and you've got options. Okay, so on this one, the only difference in these two is this has a -4 times a 2 out front. So -4 times 2 is -8. And then you go ahead and do the rest of that one. Choose one of these methods. On this one, we have a power to a power. Okay, so that's going to be like, it's kind of like you distribute the number on the outside. So we've got 8 to the -2. And then power to a power, we multiply. 1/2 times -2 is -1. So all of that has negative exponents, so we can make a reciprocal. 8 squared is going to go on the bottom. We could also write 64, and the x goes on the bottom. You can't have a blank on top of a fraction, and this is where you can truly see when everything's negative, it just makes a true reciprocal. We flipped it. All right, try this one on your own. It is similar. Don't freak out on this. -1/2 as an exponent. -1/2 times 12 is -6. -1/2 times 18. Yeah, got it. You got it. And then move everything around where it needs to go. This one, 16 to the 1/4 power is like thinking what times itself 4 times is 16. So that's going to be a 2. So 16 to the 1/4 power is 2. What times itself 4 times would give you 16? And then the rest of these we can just multiply. 12 times 1/4, a fourth of 12 is 3. A fourth of 20 is 5. And then over here, I see that both of these are negative, so I'm just going to go ahead and write those in the fraction in the denominator. And then we can simplify. So we've got that 2 on top. There are more x's on the bottom. How many more? 3. There are more y's on the bottom. How many more? 3. So that looked way complicated, and the final answer, not so complicated. All right, and then negative exponent property with quotients. This is what I was talking about before. You are just going to be, if something is negative in the, let's zoom in on this, in the numerator, it's going to go down. If you're negative in the basement, your mom's going to send you up to your room. Okay, so if it is negative in the numerator, send it to the basement. In the basement, send it to the numerator. So I'm going to make you do that one on your own. All you got to do is move stuff around and then simplify. This one looks a little crazier. Let's do this one together. So on this one, I can see that all of this stuff down here is coming up because it had negative exponents. So what we've got here then, we've got an x to the 3/2 up top. Now we've got an x to the 3/4 also up there. We have a y, which is to the first power, and now we have a y to the 1/2. This is just fraction work. So if we add 3/2 to 3/4, that is y to the 9/4. I did that quickly in my head because I know that that would be 6/4. And then y to the, this would be a 2/2, so that would be y to the 3/2. That's an x. That's the end. That's the end of that one. Again, just some fraction work going on there. All right, on this one, take a look at the 3/12. That is just like a fraction, okay? We can reduce that. So we're going to reduce that to 1/4, 1/4, 1/4 before we start anything. And then I'm going to put everything in its place. So this x, bad x, get downstairs. Okay, this y gets to stay up top. It's got a positive attitude. This x down here, positive, cool, there's another one. This y, get yourself upstairs. Okay, so now everybody's in its spot. We can simply just add our exponents because we are multiplying. So y to the 1/2 and 1/2 is going to be 1. And then down here for x squared. That's the end of that one. All right, I want you to try, I didn't say on your own earlier, but I want you to try this one. You've got it. And then actually the rest of these. So this one's going to be on your own. This one we're going to start together. And then, like it says, you're going to finish it on your own. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to do this 1/2 power. I knew that you may not know this part. So 1/2 power is like a square root. So the square root of 36 is 6. And then the square root of 4 is 2. And then here, this is going to be x to the 5/2. This is going to be y to the -1, half of -2. And this is going to be z to the, let's see, half of 2/3 is 1/3. And then this is going to be x to the -3/2. This is going to be y squared. And this is going to be z to the -1/6. So then you guys finish that one up on your own. You got this.